I think we are live. Yeah. So let's wait for another few seconds so that people join in.
Sure.
So, hi everyone, and welcome to the second day of TestMu Conference. Hope everyone is having a great day and you all are set for this exciting session ahead. Myself, Kavita Joshi, and I'll be here, your host for this session. Before we start session, we would like to thank all our partners for supporting and promoting us for this event. Now, let me quickly introduce you to today's speaker, Sanjay Kumar. If I talk about him, Sanjay has worked with companies like IBM, Goibibo, InMobi, and so on. With an open-minded approach to helping the testing society, he has also contributed many free tools such as SelectorsHub, TestCase Studio, TestCaseHub, ChroPath, a favorite among, I think, a half million testers across the globe. Tough times call for tough solutions. Through these tools, he aims at providing an unbreakable platform for developers and testers. So, in his upcoming talk, he'll talk about how to use Selectors Hub to locate XPath and CSS selectors for testers to use for their UI automation strategy. This way, the attendees can save at least 80 to 90% of the time they spend writing locators. So let's listen what he has to say. The stage is all yours, Sanjay.
Thank you, Kavita, for the great introduction and having me here. Hello, everyone. Very good evening, good morning, wherever you are. So, guys, before I start, I have a quick poll right there in the poll section. So, uh, please go and do this before I start this. I really wanted to hear from all of you. Like, do you use a tool for XPath and selectors? This will give me a really good platform to and context to teach you guys and whatever I have today to share with you. So really want to hear your thought. Do you use a tool for XPath and selectors? 53% no, 46 yes, 50-50. Come on, guys. Do it, do it. Okay, 50-50, 55-44. Great. Okay, sounds good. 60-40. Okay, so let me share my screen now. So those who haven't voted yet, so you guys can keep on adding your vote. 21. Okay, so let's just get started. So SelectorsHub. So today we are going to see that how SelectorsHub can solve all your XPath and selectors related problems. And in fact, those problems which you feel like, okay, this cannot be located, these elements cannot be, selectors cannot be written for them, or whatever you think, this will solve all your problem and will help you to learn automatically about these problems related to XPath and selectors. And I will try to answer all of your questions. You guys, whatever questions you guys will have, please put it into the Q&A section right there. So I will take all of them in together. First of all, myths. Let's discuss about like what are the myths there out related to XPath and selectors, and in fact about the XPath plugin and XPath tools. So you see that if we look at the poll here, I see that almost 50%, 10 people said that they don't use an XPath tool. So actually, the thing is that there is no one who doesn't use an XPath tool. We all use an XPath and selectors tool. Like though, let me just show you guys that if you have to write an XPath or selector for something, Are you not like using dev tools? I'm sure like you all will agree that if you have to write XPath for this element or selector for this element, you will inspect this element and do Control F, and there you write like something like this: /input, and then inspect again, and let's say class or ID, whatever is there. For a second, let's say ID is there, so we'll write XPath like this. So do you guys agree, those who said that they don't use an XPath tool, you use dev tools like this to write your XPath? I hope, I'm sure like you guys will agree on this, that those who have answered that they don't use an XPath tool or any tool for writing their XPath or selectors, they use this. So now my take on this is that DevTools is also a tool. In fact, like DevTools is one of the most used developer tool out there. So saying that we don't use a tool for XPath and selectors is absolutely wrong. This is a myth. We all use XPath and selectors tool, right? You can just say yes or no if you agree with me or not. Now we need to understand that whether this platform, whether the way we are writing XPath and selectors here in DevTools, that is right or not. Before I continue, let me just ask you guys one thing, that if my screen was visible and you guys are able to hear me, can someone please confirm? Perfect. Thank you. Thank you, Matthew. So this is a myth that we all have lived with, that we are not using a selectors tool or XPath tool. We all use. I hope like you guys will agree with me. So because we are writing now, we need to understand that here, when you are writing like Control F, or you like console also, like console we use to write and verify XPath and selectors. Now, the second thought is that we should discuss this thing, rather than that saying this, we will not use XPath tool or selector tool, or we should not use an XPath or selectors tool. We should discuss this. We should talk about this, that which is the right platform to write XPath and selectors, which platform, which tool is for writing and verifying and getting the correct information about XPath and selectors. Now, let's say for an example, here you are using this Control F in DevTools. So you are writing, let's say we have to find out all the links in this page. So we write /A. Now this is giving us 91 count. Is this the right count, 91? Are there 91 links on this page? Anyone? No. Yes. So there are not 91 counts. Absolutely correct. So there are not 91. Reason why there are not 91 counts, because when you verify here in Control F, it used to show you the result of string match as well, like this one, /A. So this is matching a string. It's not an anchor tag, right? So when you are trying to locate here, it will match the string value, the text value, wherever it will find. And in fact, like if I delete this value from here, you see that here it is clearly written that find by string. The very first feature of this Control plus F here in DevTools, that is used for string search, like searching for some text value, and then it goes for selector or XPath. So the like very first purpose here of this DevTools Control plus F is not to just verify XPath and selector. There is nothing wrong in DevTools. There's nothing wrong there in DevTools. I will again repeat, but we need to understand whether this is giving the only XPath match, or it also has some other uh, variable or some other information along with it. So when you are verifying here, it used to contains the string match as well as the XPath and selectors count. Now, even you will say, like you can say that, okay, this is the just like we have written this XPath. It is very simple. When we generally don't write this kind of, we have the attribute values like @ something. Like, so let me just copy this value. And here it is showing 1 of 1. Is it an XPath match? Because many times I have seen like people used to ask this kind of question. They used to verify this kind of XPath in their tools, and then they ask this question: is it right XPath count? Is it 1 of 1? It is showing. So is it? You see that this is clearly visible that this is for string match. It's not an XPath match. So when you verify here, it actually gives you the string counts as well, and that is the reason this is not giving always the right count of XPath and selectors. And one of the very big reason that we fail to like get the correct count of XPath and selectors. I mean, I know like unknowingly we always have considered this and standard platform, and we always verify this, but the reason we never learn about this concept that, oh, it can give that values as well. And now the second thing is this. You see that when you are verifying here, it is also not giving you the right information about the whether this is right XPath or wrong XPath. This we will learn now. So that is a one myth, that when you verify XPath in selectors in DevTools, that gives you the string match as well. And we saying that we don't use an XPath tool, that's absolutely myth and misconception. We all use a tool. There is no one who doesn't use. Now, my next question is uh, how we become expert in any programming language or in anything. I mean, it's related to software, not anything. So, how we become expert in any programming language or in any technology, like let's say, because we all are here automation testers and testers coming from the testing background, and some of the there will be developers as well. So, if I ask you like how you will become expert in let's say Java or Selenium or JavaScript or any particular language, how you guys become expert? I really want to see the answer. So, how do you guys become the expert in any? So, Tamalika is saying IDE helps a lot become an expert by exploring, by practice. Yes, absolutely. The practice is one of the very good answer, but I really love the answer from the very first answer from Tamalika, if I pronounce the name correct. IDE helps us a lot become an expert. You see that, suppose if you are writing Java code or any programming language in Notepad or somewhere, you will never become expert. You will be learning only the basic concept, and whatever you know, only that you would be able to like write and explore. But when you write code in let's say in any IDE, like you if you're writing code in IntelliJ or Eclipse or whatever smart editor you are using, when you write code there, that's where you learn a lot of things. Like you see that when you write driver, let's say find element, now as soon as you write driver dot, you see that you will explore, oh, there are so many methods. But if you learn from my tutorial or from my blog or some book, you will never be able to learn all these methods. How many methods I can teach you in a like class or in a tutorial or in my blog or in my book? Hardly. Like we will write like 4 5 methods, and tomorrow let's say if Selenium got updated, a new version comes, then new methods will be there. So my blog, my tutorial, my book is not going to get updated. What is going to get updated? This, where you start writing in a smart editor, where you import the new API and then you put the dot method there. That's where you get to know, oh, there are so many methods. So this will make you the expert in like writing the code, expert in Selenium. If you write this code like Selenium script, playwright script or Cypress script in Notepad, I can promise that you will never be able to learn all the methods, what all methods are there. Then next thing is that we become expert when we handle the exceptions, when we see this kind of error. So now you see that it is throwing me this error, telling us that expected one argument but found zero. So you will learn, you you will think, oh, find element method require an argument. Let's say we have passed an argument, whatever argument is required here, y.xpath, and then we pass xpath value something. But you see that still it is throwing an error. So when you hover here, it tells you that semicolon is expected. So this way, if you write this same code in Notepad, you will never be able to learn these kind of concept, and you will not become an expert. Like if I ask you to write code in with pen and paper, hardly like so many mistakes you will do. So these smart editors makes us expert in any programming language, in any technology. I hope you I all will agree with this, right? Then same way in XPath and selectors, how you become expert when you will handle the exception, when you will handle the errors, when you will write like more about XPath and selectors, when you will check out more libraries, more methods of that. So how you will become that? When you write XPath here in this, when you have written XPath like in dev tools like here, this is something like you are writing XPath and selectors in Notepad. Like you see that this XPath, for an example, this XPath, can anyone tell me whether this XPath is correct or not? /input @title is equal to search. Is it correct or not? This is showing 1 of 1. Anyone? Like, do you guys want to guess that whether this XPath is correct or not? It's correct. So Madhusudan is saying it's correct. Carlos is saying no, as it's a mix of CSS and XPath. It's not a mix of CSS and XPath. It's an XPath pretty much /input @title is equal to search. Okay, so let's see that what is there, like whether this is correct XPath or not. Let me copy this XPath, and now we will see how SelectorsHub can solve all these problems what we have discussed so far. I'm not showing how you can install SelectorsHub and all. It's a browser plugin, so most of you know that how to install it is. You will find here in DevTools at last here. So, so this is how it will open. I hope my screen is visible and you can see it here. So let's verify this XPath here in SelectorsHub and hit enter. You see that it is telling you that this is a invalid XPath. XPath doesn't support tilted quote. Use vertical quote. So this is a concept. And in fact, like many a times people make this kind of error when you write XPath. Not always, but whenever you will get into this kind of situation where your vertical code turns into tilted code, trust me, you waste a lot of time, and many people has wasted a lot of time. I will show you this, how in which kind of situation you will face this issue. So let's say this is the correct XPath. Let me copy this and you paste it here. So you see that when you are editing, when you edit your XPath in let's say Mac note, then if you edit something here, let's say if I add this space and a here, you see that this vertical single quote convert it into tilted quote. You will see that, you see it is converting. Like let me type it. I hope this will be visible. You see that it got converted like vertical and then tilted. So this kind of code your script will not be able to compile, and this is not supported by XPath. So how you will learn this concept? So from here you would be able to learn. If you make any mistake, like let's say you are writing this XPath here, this is correct XPath, and then you did something, now this is correct XPath, let me put it here. And if we add single / here, now it is showing 0 of 0. But I want to learn, I want to explore that what is possible in XPath, or if I'm writing CSS selector, I want to explore that what is possible, what is not possible. So if it is showing 0 of 0, I would not be able to understand whether this is actually 0 or this is wrong. But when you do same thing here, because this is a SelectorsHub is basically a kind of like a smart editor which helps you to learn about these concepts. But when you write it here and hit enter, it will tell you add tag name after forward slash. This is something similar to, you see that what it was telling you, that add semicolon here. Right, in like IntelliJ, it was telling you that semicolon is expected there. So this will help you, like these kind of, if you will make any mistake, like if you write here div, then it will tell you that, okay, after it close square bracket, only forward slash and open square bracket is allowed. So these concepts you will learn from here. It will also let you know element properties, like what kind of element it is. So you will, like how you become expert in DOM. Many people keep me asking, because earlier I used to give training and do other stuff, but then I thought like I cannot help each and everyone with this kind of, like by teaching on YouTube or by taking the webinar explaining them each and every element. How many people, like hardly like 5-10 people I can reach, or 100 people I can explain, but not everyone. How, like without taking my help or without taking any expert, because you will not having an expert with you all the time. So how you will learn this concept about the DOM? That suppose I'm new to the automation world, because most of us testers, when we start coding or learning something coding, we don't have the DOM knowledge. We don't know like whether this is a comment. If you're not coming from programming background, you will not be knowing that this is a comment. So when you inspect this element, selectors will tell you that this is a comment and selectors can't be generated for comment. So this you will learn from here. If you inspect like a script tag, it will tell you that this element is not interactable through Selenium automation, as it is not visible in UI. Try any other element. So this, you will be able to learn these kind of concept, that what is possible, what can be automated, what is the properties of this element, what is not. So all those things, it will help you. If you will be making any mistake, like let's say like just now we were discussing that how we will get to know if API got updated, if Selenium got updated, if XPath next version comes, like XPath 2.0 is there. So how do we get to know which methods should we use, which method should not use, which can be used, which cannot be used? Like if I'm sure like you all must have heard about this, that there's a function in XPath /a starts with, like, so now if we delete this like products here, so if we delete some value from here, so this is start with. Okay, there's a method ends with as well in XPath. Do you guys know that there's a method x ends with as well? But does that support XPath? Does that supported by browser? Let's understand, let's learn automatically from here, because many a times I've seen people like on different platform asking like this XPath is not working, but I have read somewhere there is a function ends within XPath. Yes, there is this function is available in XPath ends with, but that is supported in XPath 2.0, and none of the browser engines supports 2.0, XPath 2.0. All the browsers support only XPath 1.0 function. So if you will use this XPath format in your Selenium script or in your automation script, that will fail, and that will cause some like invalid XPath error. So you can see that it will tells you that ends with XPath 2.0 function, which browser doesn't support. So you use 1.0 function only. So you would be able to, like selectors will help you to become an expert in like XPath and selectors with error handling, element properties, XPath 2.0 function, and lot more things are there. Like when you start writing here, so I was telling you that /a here, we were verifying and it was giving 91. So when you will verify here in SelectorsHub, it will tell you that how many elements are there, and you can in fact see, like if I just turn on this editor mode, so you see that all 84, there are 84 links, and these are all 84 links here it is showing. So you can see all of them, and they will be highlighted in the UI. So this is how you can verify. And in fact, like if you verify CSS selector, then also it should give you that count. And if you verify, like let's say you are writing XPath or something here. So when you write XPath, you type square bracket, you see that you will see it will automatically show all possible combinations of different attribute and XPath functions here. So you would be able to learn these many methods, like dot is there, contains dot is possible, contains normalized space is possible. I'm sure like many of you might not have heard about normalized space, dot, and then a lot more function starts with and substring before, substring after. So these many new things you would be able to learn and explore, that what is possible, what is not possible. Because I'm sure like you will agree that if somebody asks you this question, that how many types of XPath you can write for this element, maybe like as a like normal human being we will be able to say like 4, 5, 10 types of XPath, but you see that how many types of XPath you can write for one element. So those methods you would be able to learn from here. And in fact, like if you write CSS selector as well, like if you want to become expert in CSS selector, you start typing CSS selector here, and it will start suggesting those functions. Like in CSS selector, dollar is there, star is there. Most of us have heard about just equal, but there is a cap, dollar, star, like contains, ends, starting with value. So those kind of functions are there in CSS selectors as well. So you would be able to explore them. And in fact, like star, hash is there, dot is there. So these things you would be able to learn with the help of SelectorsHub. So this will help you guys a lot to learn and write your own XPath and CSS selector. Guys, if you have any question, please put it into the Q&A section. I will take all of them. Then, like generally, we all used to write and learn XPath and selectors. And in fact, like whenever we teach, it becomes like it's not possible as well that we can teach you in tutorials very complex element. Like most of the time you will see like whenever we teach or any trainer teach, we generally teach like user email, ID, password field, company on submit button, login functionality, few more scenarios like add to cart and all. But those are very simple elements. But when you actually enter into the industry and you handle the enterprise application, banking application, or more complex applications, that's where you have to handle the real kinds of elements, where you have to handle like elements which is inside shadow DOM, the elements which is inside iframe, which is inside nested shadow DOM, nested iframe, iframe inside shadow DOM inside iframe. That's where the real complex situation comes. Elements, dynamic elements, invisible elements, those kind of situation, how you can handle those elements. Not easily able to, like you would be able to handle SVG elements, right? So how you can learn about that, how you can inspect those elements. Like for an example, let's say we have to enter name here. If we inspect this element, like you see that we have inspected this element, it is really difficult to get to know immediately that this element is inside iframe or shadow DOM or something like that. And most of the time we start writing XPath immediately. And in fact, like if you will write XPath for, let's say ID is there, if you write XPath for this element, you will see that it is showing 0 of 0, even though the XPath is correct for this element. But this is showing 0 of 0. So how can we handle this kind of situation? Because now DevTools is not supporting that. So in this kind of situation, SelectorsHub will tell you that this element is inside shadow DOM, and how you can write like selectors, what is possible and what is not possible. It will also tell you that this element is inside shadow DOM, and for such elements, XPath won't support. So now you learn one concept that XPath is not supported by shadow DOM. So you will have to use CSS selector. And in fact, like this XPath, if you verify in SelectorsHub, it will tell you that XPath doesn't support shadow DOM. So you will learn this concept. And if you write CSS selector, you would be able to verify this here. But if you verify this CSS selector here, you would not be able to, because this doesn't support here in Control+F. And SelectorsHub gives you the complete script as well, that which you can directly use it in your script to handle the shadow DOM element. And this is like, if you ask me quickly, like how we handle the shadow DOM elements. So shadow DOM elements is something like, if you have to handle shadow DOM elements, like if someone comes in your house, like a person comes in your house, how do you like, someone will be there in your home who will be hosting that person, and if you have to reach to that person, if you have to contact to that person, you have to take a permission of that host, like whether it's your sister or father, friend. You have to ask your sister that can I talk to her, right? So until unless your sister will not get you give you the permission, you can't take her number. So you have to take a permission. So similarly, like here in in case of shadow DOM elements, if we have to enter value here inside this field, we will have to ask the person who is hosting this element, who is hosting this shadow root. So this div is the host here, and you have to first something like switching or getting the access of this element, and then inside you have to like you can enter the value inside this element. You can access this, and the code is here for that. So this is how you can handle this kind of element. Now there could be a chance that there are like multiple shadow DOM. Your element could be inside 10 or 15 elements. What do you do in that kind of situation? So let me inspect this element. Suppose enter pizza name. This element is inside two shadow DOM. Trust me, like with the bare eyes, if you have to identify how many shadow DOMs are there, it is really difficult. Like this is one, then scroll up, this is second. There could be more things as well. Like if you see that iframe is there, many times people get confused. Oh, this is inside iframe as well. But no, you have to understand, like looking at the DOM. But that's take a lot of time and effort, and many times we don't know that this element is inside shadow DOM. Could be inside iframe, could be inside shadow DOM, sorry. So in this situation, SelectorsHub has solved this problem, that this element is inside two nested shadow DOM. So you get to know that, okay, this element is inside two nested shadow DOM. This is host 1, host 2, and this is the element. And that's how you can handle this element. Similarly, more complex element could be there. Like what if iframe, nested iframe is there? Yes, SelectorsHub will help you with that as well. Like if you inspect any element, because generally when you use here dev tools, easily you won't be able to understand that this element is inside iframe until unless you don't scroll. And trust me, we all handle iframe only when your script fail. In first go, we never look for whether that element is inside shadow DOM or iframe. We write selector, we use it in our script. When script fail, then we start looking into the DOM. Oh, why this is failing? Why? What is the problem? And that's where we get to know, okay, this could be inside iframe. It could be inside shadow DOM. But till that time, we used to keep waste, like we have wasted at least 30 to 40 minutes of time. But in this SelectorsHub, you will immediately get to know that this element is inside inside iframe. Switch inside iframe to access it through automation. And this is the frame XPath, and this is the element XPath and selectors, all those things. If it is like multiple inside nested iframe, it will tell you that there are two iframe 1, iframe 2, and element. So this also helps you. There could be a situation that shadow DOM inside iframe, more complex scenarios. So how do you handle those kind of scenarios? Like, let me show you. This is a practice page, guys. You can also use this. This is very helpful, where you can get all those scenarios. And this is really complex. Like if you really wanted to test your automation skills, try to enter value in all these fields. And trust me, if you are able to do that, you are really expert in UI automation. So try this page to automate. Many trainers, many interviewer people use in for interview purpose as well. So like, do you love tea? This element, if you see that here, it is inside shadow DOM. Then if you keep scrolling, keep scrolling, keep scrolling, this is inside that shadow DOM is inside iframe. So how we get to know automatically just in single click? You see that here SelectorsHub tells you that this element inside single shadow DOM, and then that shadow DOM is inside iframe. So you will learn these concepts from here. Then dynamic invisible elements. this is a very difficult problem many a times. Like this kind of application, let's say Flipkart. So one is this, that like this kind of element which you right click and try to inspect, and you see that drop down got hidden here. And now we are not able to inspect that element. Even if you try to inspect that, let's say inside this electronic drop down, we are not able to inspect that headphone, right? Like if you inspect this element, Bluetooth headphones, right click and try to inspect, that is, we are not able to see that. So how can we get the XPath and selector for this element? So one way is that you right click and copy the relative XPath or XPath right there from the context menu of SelectorsHub. So this is one simple solution. So this is another like one way that you can get the XPath and selectors. But if you have to inspect this element, how you can do that? There are some ways, like you can press F12 or F8 in Windows, that is possible. You can run some debugger mode as well. But there will be some situations where you type, like let's say if I search here in iPhone and you right click, you see that that got disappear immediately. If you press any key, like here this is, and if we press any key or something like that to inspect that element, they get disappear immediately. So in this kind of situation, how can we inspect such dynamic element? So here in SelectorsHub, you see that there's a debugger feature, and you can change the timer as well here in SelectorsHub for debugger. Like you go to settings, like here we need this immediately. We need to turn on debugger immediately as soon as this element appear. So I will make it 0. You can watch the detailed tutorial about debugger. I have created that into SelectorsHub YouTube channel. So to handle any kind of dynamic element, you would be able to. I will show you one. So this is the one that, let's say we have to inspect this element. Okay. And now this is appearing here. So you just click on this debugger button here, and now you would be able to inspect this iPhone here. You see, we are able to inspect. Now, if you have to write XPath or selectors, in fact, XPath is also generated by selectors for this element. So it is highlighted. So you can see that we are able to do that. Now you can inspect any of these drop downs. So this is how you can use the SelectorsHub debugger feature for inspecting such kind of dynamic element. Now, one more thing I will show you guys, Playwright. Is there anyone who is the Playwright user right now? Anyone, any Playwright user right there? Awesome, James. Yes, great. So if you guys have to verify the Playwright selector today, how do you guys verify? You run the Playwright script in debugger mode like this, and then this opens the Playwright window, and you click on this like of course this execute button, then the page open, then you open console, then you go to then you type here, let's say Playwright, then $, I mean whatever formula is that, something like this, and there you verify. Like let's say we have to verify this TestCase Studio. So you sorry. So do you guys agree this is how you verify the Playwright selector today? If you have to verify the Playwright selectors, because in Playwright lots of selectors are there. I want to hear from you guys. So Tamalika is saying yes. Devin Kodjan. So I mean, like you are not able to verify the Playwright selectors directly like we verify XPath or CSS selector, right? But we have made it easy with SelectorsHub. You see that if you have to verify this Playwright selectors, like here, if you have to verify Playwright selector, you need not to run your code in debugger mode just to verify one Playwright selector. Why to take that much pain, like running debugger mode, then clicking on execute button, then going to console, then typing Playwright, and then $. Many times we forgot that command as well. Simply like the way we used to verify any selectors, let's verify Playwright selector in same way. You just paste here and verify. You see that we are able to verify this Playwright selector. This is not an XPath, this is not an CSS selector, this is a playwright selector. So you can verify any playwright selector right there in SelectorsHub. So this way you can verify like playwright selectors in SelectorsHub. I hope this will help you guys to save a lot of time. Now, will it help you guys, this playwright selector thing? I'm sure like you guys will feel good. And so that's all from my end, guys. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, LambdaTest, for having me here. Now I will take your questions, guys, and each and we'll see all the comments. We have still left with the 5 minute. And if you guys have any question after this session or anything, I will be available here. You can reach out to me. You can follow me on Twitter, LinkedIn for any queries, and SelectorsHub website. You can get the SelectorsHub download link right there from the SelectorsHub website. So yeah, I will take the questions now. Do we have support for playwright locator in SelectorsHub? So yes, Tamalika, we have the playwright support. So yes, awesome. Sanjay said, do you have any plan to visit Kolkata? Yes, definitely. Like we will plan very soon for Kolkata as well, the meetup. Definitely. Thank you. Pawan, is there any best way to handle dynamic XPath? Yes, Pawan. I hope like I have showed you that how you can handle the dynamic XPath. And in fact, like I have created tutorial for this dynamic XPath as well in SelectorsHub YouTube channel. So you would be able to get that. And
I think
so
next question is from Manish Seni. SelectorsHub is one of the best tools I've used. What is your motivation behind building this?
my motivation was behind building this, like frankly speaking, because before this, like another tool I have developed for XPath and selectors. So I always heard from the people that, including me, because I was also a trainer and I used to give the training that don't use an XPath tool, you will lose XPath skills, selectors skill, writing skills. So I wanted to change that thing, that there should be something which can help us to teach the like about XPath selectors DOM. So that's where the idea, and that's where I got this concept of smart editor for XPath and selectors, because there was nothing which can help us to write selectors smartly, handling the exception and all. And then over the time, I got keep getting support from the whole community, and you see that just in like less than 2 years, we are hitting 500,000 users downloads. And what kind of like the growth selectors hub has won the like Indian Achievers Award in 2021, and then in 2020, and then 2021 Young Achievers Award. So many things we got with the selectors hub. So those all things are motivation actually, and the community support definitely.
So moving on to the next question, we have question from
Yes.
Arun.
What are the IDs that can be utilized? IDEs. So I mean, for if you're talking in terms of selectors hub and XPath, so ID is like depending on the people. Like many people prefer the Eclipse IntelliJ. For XPath and selectors hub is the ID. Uh, I hope I answered your question, Arun. Kavita, can we move on to the next question?
Yeah, sure. We'll move on to next. Next question we have: can Selector Hub and your other tool writer CSS selectors based on custom attributes?
Yes. They do. Uh, and in fact, like you can generate the XPath and CSS selector depending whatever attribute with whatever attribute you want. There's an attribute filter feature in SelectorsHub. So actually, like in this session, I have covered very like not even 10% of the features of SelectorsHub, because I was like more on focusing you guys to teach the concept of like how you can improve your skills and all. But otherwise, like there are like huge time saver feature in SelectorsHub. So I would highly recommend and request you guys that please explore, watch the detailed tutorial about SelectorsHub. And TestCase Studio is another great tool which can help you guys to generate the manual test cases automatically along with the screenshot. So you guys can check that out.
Okay. Next we have question from Vikrant. Does such tools killing the ability of a software?
Does such tools killing the ability of a software? No, not at all. Like that's what I was like in the whole session. I was trying to teach you guys that how this tool, how these smart editor can help you to become an expert. Right. So this is going to help you to learn the concept of like element properties, DOM knowledge, XPath and selectors knowledge. So this is going to help you. And in fact, like you can ask like do a poll, something like that, that how do you get to know about, how do you learn about the shadow DOM? Half of the industry and many of the people in the industry has learned the about concept about shadow DOM from selectors of the day selectors sub came in picture and that it started supporting. So lots of new concept. It has helped industry to learn about this.
Okay,
Please,
so
next
here
question.
we sure. The question is from Namrata. Which browser Selector Hub supports currently?
Namrata, Selectors Hub supports all the browsers, like it is available for all the browsers, all the major browsers. So Chrome, Firefox, Edge, Opera, Safari, and all those browsers it supports.
Okay, so the session was quite interactive. Awesome it was. Thank you, Sanjay, for that wonderful session. I hope all the viewers were quite insightful and they enjoyed the session. It was quite knowledgeable. Also, we will be hosting all our recorded sessions on YouTube, so you can go back and listen to them again and share them with your peers. Happy testing and have a great day ahead. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for everyone for joining.
Thank you, Sanjay.